Extend a warm welcome to all of you tuning in to my channel. Today, our fanfiction exploration revolves around an intriguing premise: what would happen if Naruto and Sasuke found themselves entangled in a profound love affair? Disclaimer: the content presented here is purely for entertainment and discussion purposes. It's important to note that I don't claim ownership of any anime footage featured in my videos. All rights and credits belong to their rightful creators and copyright holders. Without further ado, let's embark on this imaginative journey. Distribution: Minato as Monagu, Kushina as Lady Monagu, Naruto as Romeo, Shikamaru as Benvolio, cousin of Romeo, Kiba as Mercutio, best friend of Romeo, Ino as Naruto's cousin. In the original story, Romeo doesn't have a cousin, but I decided to add one. Iruka as Naruto's guardian, Gaara as Naruto's friend, Temari as Naruto's friend, Shikamaru's girlfriend, sister of Gaara and Kankuro, Kankuro as Naruto's friend, brother of Temari and Gaara, Sai as Balthazar, Karin as Naruto's cousin, Lee as Naruto's friend, Nagato as Naruto's cousin, Yahiko as Naruto's friend, Konan as Naruto's friend. Uchiwa clan equals Capulet family. Fugaku as Capulet. Mikoto as Lady Capulet. Sasuke as Juliet. Itachi as Tybalt. In this version, Itachi will play the role of Tybalt, but he will still remain Sasuke's older brother. Neji as Sasuke's friend, Hinata's cousin. Hinata as Sasuke's friend, Neji's cousin, Naruto's first love. Sakura as Paris. Choji as Sasuke's friend. Tenten as Sasuke's cousin. Kakashi as Sasuke's tutor. Shisui as Itachi's best friend. Kurenai as Sasuke's servant. Suigetsu as Sasuke's best friend. Hugo, friend of Sasuke. Shino, friend of Sasuke. Obito, Sasuke's cousin. Inhabitants of Konoha. Tsunade, the Prince of Verona, Hokage of the village Jiraiya, Naruto's godfather, brother Laran villagers. Orochimaru, apothecary, poison seller. Here we are in the heart of the Fire Country, where the story unfolds in the hidden village of Konoha. Our tale begins with ancient grudges between two rival clans, the Uzumaki and the Uchiha. The Uzumaki clan was once an ally of the Senju clan, which was also formerly at odds with the Uchiha clan. Leading the current clans are Minato Uzumaki and Fugaku Uchiha. For generations, the two families waged war, exchanging insults and hatred. Every day, villagers witnessed their incessant fights until Tsunade, the fifth Hokage, intervened. Since the beginning of the feud, the two clans have set a very strict and important rule: no Uzumaki should befriend an Uchiha, and vice versa. But what will happen if one day an Uzumaki and an Uchiha break this rule? And if one day, an Uzumaki and an Uchiha fall in love with each other? What situation will arise if the heir children of both clans perish? This is what we will see in the tale we are about to tell you. A forbidden love story, that of Naruto and Sasuke. It was a sweltering summer day. The forecast had predicted the afternoon would turn scorching. Three youthful shinobi emerged from a ramen restaurant where they had just dined after their mission. The trio settled on the steps of the ninja academy. The first was a young man with long brown locks tied into a small ponytail, his eyes a lavender hue. Beside him sat a young lady. She was cute with her brown hair fashioned into two buns on either side, her attire dusted from the mission, yet despite the fatigue, she remained striking. Lastly, beside her sat another young man. He was stout, with swirl-shaped tattoos adorning his cheeks, his long unruly brown hair. These three shinobi had names: Neji Hyuga, Tenten, and Choji Akimichi. All three wore a dark blue forehead protector bearing a symbol depicting a red and white fan. Choji, exhausted from the heat, decided to break the heavy silence. "I'm famished." "What? Come on, you can't be serious, we just left Ichiraku's," Tenten exclaimed. "I know, but I'm still hungry," replied Choji, letting out a sigh. Anyway, I will never comprehend you. I have never encountered someone with such a stomach. Neji, who had remained silent since the beginning, decided to speak up, especially since the mission. I have managed to refine my new technique. Your new technique? But which one? Asked his teammate, raising her head with wide eyes. Well, the technique of the 64 points of Haki. And besides, I'm bored. I want to fight. What, are you crazy? We just got back from a mission, I remind you. Yeah, Tenten is right, especially with this heat. It won't be easy to train, added Choji. But the young Hyuga didn't care about his two friends' remarks. His eyes were burning with the desire to fight. I want to fight, I tell you, he said in one breath. Oh no, don't tell us you want the three of us to fight, said Tenten, jumping to her feet. No, not with you my brothers, Neji replied. Then against whom? Asked Choji, rising from the stairs. Well, I'd like to take it out on one of the jerks from the Uzumaki clan. Neji blurted out. Tenten and Choji glanced at each other for a brief moment, then turned their eyes back to their traveling companion. The young girl stood in front of her lavender-eyed friend. She placed her arms on his shoulders and shook him, shouting, No, stop Neji. It's a very bad idea. She continued shaking him. Imagine if there's another fight with the Uzumaki, you know what will happen? Master Tsunade will intervene again, we'll risk having a tough time, and Master Fugaku will have trouble again. Just then, listening to his friend's words, Neji saw two ninjas walking calmly in the streets of Konoha. One of them was red-haired with a tattoo on his forehead with the word love written in kanji, the other was blonde with her hair tied in 4 pigtails. Neji recognized these two individuals with their orange forehead protectors with a red swirl symbolizing the Uzumaki clan. The young man with lavender eyes was delighted that his prayer had been answered. He stepped forward, bypassing his friend, then raised his right arm where he raised his middle finger. The young red-haired man turned his turquoise blue eyes towards Neji, who was flipping him off as the sender to his recipient. Tell me, my dear friend, said the redhead, are you giving me the finger, as I see it? Neji laughed at the redhead's remark, Tenten and Choji sensing another fight about to break out in Konoha. Neji, still laughing, eventually stopped and wiped a tear from his right cheek from laughing so hard. After calming down, he responded to his adversary. Well, yes, I am indeed flipping you off, and what's more, I don't give a damn about you. I really feel like shoving my middle finger up your ass. Do you want to fight, is that it? Growled the redhead. Very well, since you're looking for a fight, I'm game. Ready, Gaara? The girl spoke up, taking out her fan. I'm ready to fight these clowns from the Uchiha house, replied the one called Gaara. Anytime, Tamari. The so-called Tamari smiled at her little brother and took a combat stance. As for Neji, he was thrilled to be facing members of the Uzumaki clan. Tenten, fearing the worst, buried her head in her hands, sighing in exasperation. Master Fugaku is going to have more problems again. Neji. Stop this, I beg you. Choji shouted. Listen, Tenten, if you keep going, you know what will happen. Hey, what's with the sour face, fatty? Tamari taunted. Upon hearing this word from Uzumaki's mouth, Choji clenched his fists in each palm, furrowing his brows and instinctively raising his head. Am I dreaming or did you just call me fat? And on top of being fat, you're deaf too. Of course, because you're the only fat one in the group. Tamari laughed. Choji, who had remained calm at first, also joined the fight. Oh no. You're not getting involved too. Tenten yelled. The Konoha Hurricane. Shouted a masculine voice. Everyone turned their gaze towards the newcomer. Tenten grimaced recognizing the young boy. He had thick eyebrows, black hair styled in a bowl cut, dressed in a green jumpsuit, his forehead band bore the Uzumaki clan symbol. Tamari smiled recognizing one of their allies from the Uzumaki household. Lee. You're just in time, my friend, we were about to take on those Uchiwa scumbags. Well, If it's a fight against our sworn enemies, count me in. Lee yelled with fiery eyes. Long live the power of youth. Very well, replied Gaara. Tamari, you take the big guy, Lee, you take the girl, and I'll take the one with the Byakugans. Understood, responded his comrades. Stop, have you thought about Master Minato? Intervened a male voice. This voice belonged to another young man from the Uzumaki household, with pineapple-styled hair and a silver earring on his right ear. Tamari recognized her boyfriend, Shikamaru, the nephew of the Uzumaki leader, Minato. My love, called Tamari, we were about to fight those Uchiwa fools. I don't mean to offend you, darling, but if you fight with our loved ones against the Uchiwas, there's a good chance the Hokage will intervene, Shikamaru replied softly. Finally, someone reasonable, Tenten thought inwardly. Why stop now when things were just getting interesting? Intervened a new male voice. This time, it belonged to a young man who had activated his Sharingan, with long black crow-like hair tied in a low ponytail. On his face, one could see blood-red eyes with 3 tomoe, and long dark circles under his eyes. Shikamaru recognized the young man. It was Itachi Uchiwa, the eldest son and heir of the clan. Itachi was cruel and hated ninjas belonging to or serving the Uzumaki clan more than anything else. Itachi, you're inopportune, said Shikamaru. Prince Itachi, Tenten implored, know that I never wish to partake in this brawl. Please, do not join this fight in your father's name. Tenten, I appreciate your desire to defend my father, but the Uzumaki are our sworn enemies, and I cannot restrain my urge to engage them, Itachi replied. The young girl couldn't believe her ears. Despite her advice, her cousin also desired to participate in the brawl. Forgive me, uncle, Tenten thought, praying for the conflict to cease before escalating further. Itachi unsheathed his sword, ready for battle. Shikamaru drew a kunai and charged towards Itachi. Itachi, my brother. Let us cease our fights just this once to preserve peace in the village. You speak of peace, yet you know well that I despise that word when it comes from your slimy mouth, Itachi sneered, locking eyes with his opponent. I will cast a genjutsu on you, and then, I will slice you into pieces. Try it, you filthy scum. The pineapple retorted. The fight became the center of attention for the villagers. Look, guys, a brawl. A 12-year-old Jinan yelled to his friends. The villagers, especially the younger generations, watched with enthusiasm as the Uzumaki clashed with the Uchiha. Gaara faced off against Neji, Tamari against Choji, Lee against Tenten, Shikamaru against Itachi. The battle lasted for a good 20 minutes until the arrival of the Hokage, accompanied by Minato and Fugaku. Will you stop this ruckus already? That's enough. The Hokage yelled. The ninjas ceased their fighting and sheathed their weapons. Tsunade, furious, turned her brown eyes towards the 2 clan leaders and continued with a threatening voice. I will have to summon you both to my office again. Fugaku, you come with me immediately with your eldest. Same goes for you, Minato. You'll come after Fugaku with your nephew. Understood? Why yes, the 2 clan leaders replied. Thank you, Master Tsunade, for intervening. Tenten exclaimed, throwing herself into the Hokage's arms and burying her face on her shoulder. Tsunade, touched by the girl's gesture, hugged her back, stroking her hair. All right, it's over Tenten. Now head home, I'll take care of the rest, she said this time with a gentle and endearing voice. The ninjas went back to their respective homes. Once back in the Uzumaki neighborhood, Kushina, Minato's wife, rushed to her nephew. Shikamaru. You're all right, I hope? She yelled in panic. Don't worry, Aunt, I'm fine. Thank goodness, luckily Naruto didn't get involved in the fight, or it would have been a mess, Kushina replied. Later, I'll be summoned by the Hokage regarding the brawl near the Ninja Academy, Minato announced. Minato? His wife snapped, this is the 5th time this month you've been summoned. I've had enough of these street fights with the Uchiha. I'm sure Mikoto, Fugaku's wife, is tired of these quarrels too. I can't take it anymore. We sincerely apologize, Lady Kushina, forgive us, Temari said with a sad smile. It's true, we couldn't control ourselves against the Uchiha. We're sorry, Lady Kushina, Lee pleaded, kneeling before the redhead. Temari and Gaara did the same. Kushina wiped her tears with the cuff of her left sleeve and replied, Rise now, I accept your apologies. Gaara. Temari. A male voice yelled. A young man with purple tattoos on his face ran straight to them and embraced them. Good grief, I was so worried when I heard what happened. Kankuro, Gaara began. You're suffocating us, Temari finished. Kankuro released his younger brother and older sister. He first greeted his future brother-in-law, the clan leader, and his wife, then left with his small family. Suddenly, a handsome blonde entered the neighborhood, walking with his head down, sad blue eyes, and hands in the front pockets of his jeans. Hello, Dad, hello, Mom, the blonde greeted with a sad voice. Hello my dear, greeted Kushina with a charming smile. You're finally here, my son, said Minato. Yeah, I'm going to my room, he said before turning on his heels. Shikamaru didn't like seeing his cousin when he was in a depressive mood. Shikamaru, Minato began. Yes, uncle? I want you to keep Naruto company and cheer him up. Yes, uncle, I'll do my best, Shikamaru replied, nodding positively. He headed to the Uzumaki family's home where he found his cousin lying on his bed. With his arms crossed around his head, eyes staring up at the ceiling. Shikamaru, standing at the entrance of his cousin's room, entered. He sat on the edge of Naruto's bed. The said Naruto was a handsome young man with tan skin, messy blonde hair, a beautiful pair of azure blue eyes like the ocean shimmering under the sun, and 3 fine whisker marks on each cheek. Naruto had inherited his father's hair and eye color but had inherited his mother's facial features and personality. Shikamaru sighed before speaking to break the heavy silence that had been reigning in the room for over 10 minutes. Well cousin, it looks like you're not feeling well today. Yes, Naruto simply replied. Tell me, Naruto, what's bothering you lately? Alright, I'll tell you, his cousin sighed. He took a deep breath and then exhaled before answering. I'm in love. What, are you in love? That's fantastic. His cousin exclaimed after 5 minutes of silence. But why do you look so sad? He asked afterward. Naruto didn't know how to answer his cousin's question. Sure, he was head over heels in love, but he didn't know how to tell his cousin the name of the young woman. Hey, Naruto. Are you even listening? Shikamaru called, placing a hand on the blonde's shoulder. Naruto jolted as if awoken from a strange dream. He sat up, placing his hands on the mattress and locking eyes with his cousin. What were you saying? The blonde asked suspiciously. The exasperated brunette lowered his gaze, placing his left hand on his forehead, creating a sound like a snap as he turned his head from side to side. Damn it, Naruto. What did I do to deserve a cousin as annoying as you? Suddenly, another person approached the blonde's room, knocking, and Naruto invited them in. I heard a shout, is everything okay? The man asked. Yeah, I'm fine, Iruka. It's just the kid you raised who hasn't been listening to me for a while now. And honestly, raising a kid is a total pain. Shikamaru retorted. Hey! Naruto yelled, that's not even true, okay? And please, dear tutor, stop laughing. The named Iruka chuckled at Shikamaru's little joke. Naruto's tutor had brown hair tied up in a high ponytail, and a large scar ran down the center of his face. For years, when the Uzumaki couple wasn't available for their son, Iruka had volunteered to raise Naruto as his own. Iruka stopped laughing and asked his protege more seriously, tell me, Naruto, what's got you in this state? Don't tell me you've gotten into another fight with the Uchihas? No, tutor, it's not that. And why would I even get into a brawl that doesn't even concern me? The blonde replied, meeting his tutor's gaze. So what's up? Naruto, you know you can tell me anything, I'm all ears, you know. Okay, said the blonde, shrugging his shoulders. He took a deep breath before replying. Well, actually, I'm in love. That's great. Congratulations, Naruto. His tutor congratulated him, applauding. It's not as great as you think, Naruto finally said, hugging his knees and wrapping his arms around them like a lost child. Iruka didn't understand his protégé's behavior. Normally, the blonde should be happy to love a woman, but here he was, sad. I don't understand. Shikamaru, do you understand anything at least? Iruka asked, locking eyes with the pineapple sitting on the bed for a good half hour. No, I don't know, the young man replied. He placed a hand on his cousin's blonde hair and continued, Tell me, cousin, about this girl, is she pretty at least? Naruto, with his head buried in his knees, lifted his chin towards his cousin. He wiped his tears with his hand. Yes, she is the prettiest, kindest, smartest, and most amazing girl in all of Konoha. If you only knew how crazy I am about her. So what's the problem then? His cousin asked. Sniff. The problem is that she vowed to remain a virgin until she's 30, and I refuse to wait that long. Boo, the blonde replied, crying his heart out. Iruka approached his protégé and hugged him like a father would with his child. And who is this girl? Iruka asked, stroking the back of the blonde who was still crying. Naruto lifted his tear-soaked face. He sniffled, then wiped his tears with his sleeve. Hinata Hyuga, he blurted out like a bomb. His tutor and his cousin couldn't believe it. They didn't expect the girl Naruto was madly in love with to be anyone other than Hinata, Neji's cousin. One of the minions serving the Uchiha family. Meanwhile, in the Uchiha district, a stunning woman with lustrous black hair was reprimanding the ninjas who had been fighting with those from the Uzumaki household. When will you cease these childish antics? She scolded, tapping her small lavender fan in one hand. Because of your recklessness, my husband will once again face trouble with the Hokage. Konoha has suffered enough from seeing blood spilled because of your actions. I'm sorry, Lady Mikoto, it was I who instigated the conflict, and I deeply apologize, Neji said, kneeling before her. Likewise for me, Choji apologized, mimicking Neji's gesture. Aunt, please know that I never intended to partake in their daily squabbles. I tried to intervene, but the guy with bushy eyebrows from the Uzumaki house stopped me, Tenten explained. Don't worry, my niece, I believe you, Mikoto said, gently caressing Tenten's cheek. Now, go back to your room. I'll handle the others. Yes, thank you, Aunt, Tenten said, bowing to her aunt before heading to her room. Mikoto resumed her serious demeanor, this time turning her attention to her eldest son. Meanwhile, in the Uchiha district, a stunning woman with lustrous black hair was reprimanding the ninjas who had been fighting with those from the Uzumaki household. When will you cease these childish antics? She scolded, tapping her small lavender fan in one hand. Because of your recklessness, my husband will once again face trouble with the Hokage. Konoha has suffered enough from seeing blood spilled because of your actions. I'm sorry, Lady Mikoto, it was I who instigated the conflict, and I deeply apologize, Neji said, kneeling before her. Likewise for me, Choji apologized, mimicking Neji's gesture. Aunt, please know that I never intended to partake in their daily squabbles. I tried to intervene, but the guy with bushy eyebrows from the Uzumaki house stopped me, Tenten explained. Don't worry, my niece, I believe you, Mikoto said, gently caressing Tenten's cheek. Now, go back to your room. I'll handle the others. Yes, thank you, Aunt, Tenten said, bowing to her aunt before heading to her room. Mikoto resumed her serious demeanor, this time turning her attention to her eldest son. Itachi, how many times must I tell you not to get involved in fights? Because of you, your father will once again face serious threats from the Hokage. I've had enough of these endless quarrels. I'm sure even Kushina Uzumaki, my archenemy, is tired of all this. Do you understand, Itachi? Yes, mother, it's true that I acted wrongly today with the Uzumaki. But know this, I will never hold an Uzumaki in my heart. I'm sorry, mother, I promise not to repeat it, he said, kissing his mother's hand. Mikoto calmed down and embraced her eldest son, whispering softly this time, "You are just like your father. I forgive you, my son. Now go." Itachi pulled away from his mother and went back to his duties. A servant descended the stairs and approached the mistress of the household. "Ah, Kurenai, you've arrived at the right time." "Good morning, Lady Mikoto," greeted the woman named Kurenai. "Your husband has returned, he is accompanied by Miss Sakura Haruno, the Hokage's disciple." "Very well, first I wish to inquire about the whereabouts of my youngest son," Mikoto asked. "Oh, you mean Sasuke, he's in the family garden with Kakashi and his two friends, why?" "Nothing, just wanted to know. You may leave now." The young servant bowed to Mikoto and left. Meanwhile, Fugaku was conversing with Sakura Haruno, a young girl with pink hair, emerald green eyes, and a broad forehead. She was Tsunade's disciple, deeply in love with the chief's younger son since their academy days. "So, Master Fugaku," she began, sipping her tea, "have you considered my request? My second son's hand, Miss Haruno, you're not very traditional, typically it's men who propose, not the other way around." "That's precisely it, Master," Sakura exclaimed, raising her voice, "I've been in love with your son for years. I remember the day I first met him at the academy, my heart leapt in my chest. Since then, I've never stopped thinking about him." How old are you?" Fugaku asked before sipping his coffee. "Well, I'm 16, Master," Sakura replied, picking a cream puff from a tray on the coffee table. Fugaku took another sip of his coffee, then continued with a solemn voice. "My son is only 15, he'll turn 16 soon, on July 23rd of this year. Otherwise, what about marrying my eldest son?" "Itachi?" "Sir, with all due respect, it's not Itachi that I love, but Sasuke. I love him to the point of agony, waiting is painful for me." "Well, you'll have to wait nonetheless, miss. My younger son is still too young for marriage. Let's say in 2 years. But for now, he's still my youngest son, and I refuse to see him leave too soon. You understand, after all, you're still too young yourself." "I understand, sir." The young girl lost the bright smile she had just moments ago. Fugaku felt guilty for making the girl sad and leaving her with little hope and much waiting. "Listen, my dear, know that I have nothing against you, on the contrary, I appreciate you. If you wish, tonight I will organize a ball for the engagement of my second son, regardless of his age. I will invite all the young girls from the village except those belonging to the house of my worst enemy. Then, I will ensure that Sasuke sees you as such. If he loves you, you will have my blessing." The face of the young girl lit up once more, as she realized she would finally have her opportunity with the man she had long desired. "And furthermore," Fugaku interjected, rising from his armchair and making his way towards the young lady, "thanks to this union, we'll encounter fewer issues with the Hokage, given that you are his disciple. I would be absolutely delighted to welcome you into our family," he said, gracefully kissing the back of her hand. "I, too, would be thrilled to become part of your family," replied Sakura, eagerly anticipating marrying the love of her life. Meanwhile, behind the door, Mikoto overheard the conversation between her husband and the Hokage's disciple. She was also delighted to learn that her dear little one would soon be getting married, even though he hadn't yet turned 18. In the family garden, an silver-haired man whose face was partially obscured by a mask was engrossed in his favorite book, The Pleasures of Frolicking. Nearby, a handsome teenager sat on the terrace floor. The boy was a striking beauty for his age, delicate features, eyes as dark as coal, and ebony hair styled into 4 spikes, with 2 strands framing his angelic face, as pale as porcelain. Before him, his 2 friends practiced throwing shurikens. One was of medium height with blue-tinged white hair, while the other was tall with red hair. The ebony-haired boy was bored beside his tutor, who was always immersed in his daily reading. "Good morning, Kakashi," called out a feminine voice. The copy ninja, Kakashi's nickname, raised his head from his book and saw Mikoto before him. He greeted her with a bow and returned her hand kiss. "Good morning, Lady Mikoto. How are you?" "I'm well, Kakashi. And you?" "Everything's fine, and each day, it seems you become more and more lovely, madam." "Thank you for the compliment, Kakashi," Mikoto said, her cheeks flushed with embarrassment. "Actually," she continued, "I've come to see Sasuke." "I'm here, Mom," replied the aforementioned Sasuke. Mikoto lowered her gaze and saw her son sitting. She gestured to her son's two friends to stop training and leave them alone for a moment. Both nodded and left. Now, only Kakashi remained with them. Sasuke stood up, ready to talk to his mother. The presence of his mentor comforted him. Throughout his life, the teenager had a brotherly relationship with Kakashi, as his parents had always taken care of his older brother, Itachi. As for him, he felt inferior to his older brother, who was soon to become the clan leader. Mikoto decided to break the silence. "Sasuke, how old are you, my dear?" "Mom, come on, I'm 15. Don't you remember? And why did you want to see me today?" "Well, my son, today your father has decided to organize a ball for your engagement." My engagement? But I'm not even 18 yet. Why rush into this?" Sasuke said in panic, not understanding his father's decision. "Lady Mikoto, please know that your son is only 15. His 16th birthday is coming next month," Kakashi replied, squeezing his protégé's shoulder. "I know, Kakashi, and precisely, my dear has a suitor." "A suitor? But Mom, I'm not even 18 yet, and I'm about to turn 16. Who is my suitor that father has chosen?" Mikoto finally seized the opportunity to announce her son's future spouse. Kakashi took the teenager's hand to reassure him. Despite the stress, Sasuke nodded with a smile at his mentor. Mikoto gathered her courage and announced the name of the lucky girl. "It's Sakura Haruno, Master Tsunade's disciple and your former classmate from the academy." "Sakura Haruno?" Sasuke repeated with dread. "Oh no, not that, please." He thought. He remembered Sakura, the little girl with hair dyed pink like bubblegum who kept following him. This is a real nightmare, he thought again. Well, the servants must already be making preparations for tonight. I'll get ready too. Before Kakashi, she said as she headed towards the garden entrance. "Yes, I'm listening. I want you to prepare Sasuke. I want him to wear his finest clothes, I want him to be the most handsome, the brightest, and the most wonderful of the evening." "Very well, you can count on me, Lady Mikoto." "Thank you, Kakashi. See you tonight, my dear." Mikoto approached her son, embracing him tenderly before placing a kiss on his pale forehead. Once his mother left, Sasuke panicked and jumped onto his tutor. His body was shaking, his hands clinging to the jonin sleeves as if his life depended on it. Kakashi had never seen his protégé in this state. Knowing him, the little raven was always calm and hid his emotions. "Kakashi. I don't want Kakashi. Help me, say something to me. I don't love her. I hate Sakura Haruno. What should I do, Kakashi?" "Sasuke, first calm down. Come, I'll get you ready as your mother ordered. Then we'll find a solution to this problem, okay?" Kakashi replied. The teenager began to cry in the arms of his guardian, burying his face in the latter's chest. He released all his tears of distress. Kakashi was just as distraught as his ward. His young charge was only 15 years old, and his parents wanted to marry him off as soon as possible. Good grief, what kind of world were they living in to commit such an inappropriate act towards their own child? Kakashi gently stroked his ward, one hand on his back, the other in his black hair. "I hope there will be a miracle for you, my dear, thought Kakashi, hoping for a miracle to prevent this forced marriage that had just shattered Sasuke's young heart. Returning to the Uzumaki neighborhood, a young brunette boy carrying a sack full of letters knocked on the door of the Uzumaki residence. The door was opened by a young woman with violet hair, orange eyes, and a silver piercing on her chin. "Hello, young one, what can I do for you?" asked the young woman, holding the front door. The boy reached into his small sack and handed a letter to the young lady. Konohamaru, one of the genins from the village of Konoha, had the task of distributing invitation letters with his two teammates, Udon and Moigi. However, there was a tiny detail: the three children were unaware of the feud between the Uzumaki and the Uchiha. "Here you go, madam, this is from Master Fugaku," said Konohamaru. "From Master Fugaku, you say?" repeated Konan. The genin nodded and went back to join his comrades while continuing the mission. Konan closed the door and headed to the living room where the members of the Uzumaki household were gathered. "Master Minato," she called out. Minato, conversing with his wife and other relatives, turned his head towards the person who called him. "We've received a letter, apparently from your archenemy." "What?" Minato responded, widening his blue eyes. "A letter from my enemy, you say?" "My uncle, I bet it's another threat," Nagato chimed in. "Nagato is right, master. I'm sure he wants a rematch regarding the earlier battle," replied a young red-haired man with brown eyes named Yahiko. Minato took the letter and opened it, examining the correspondence adorned with the Uchiha emblem. He began to read aloud. "Dear residents of the village of Konoha, I am addressing you today to announce that this evening, we will be hosting a soiree dedicated to the engagement of my youngest son. I hereby declare that all young girls from the village are invited except those belonging to the Uzumaki clan. Please know that it is a great honor for us to have you attend this exceptional celebration. Thank you, and I will see you tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, please accept my sincere regards. Fugaku Uchiha." "An engagement soiree?" Kushina exclaimed after her husband had read the letter. "Uncle Minato," began a young blonde girl with blue eyes. "I don't understand. Why did we receive this letter then?" "It's simple, Ino," said another girl. The girl who had just spoken was red-haired, wearing glasses with frames the same color as her hair. "What do you mean by it's simple, Karen?" Ino asked. Young Karen took a deep breath and replied, "If our enemies sent us this letter, it's to threaten us. All they want is for us to come to their so-called party and then carry out their vengeance. It's the revenge they desire. And that disgusts me." "I knew it." Nagato intervened, leaping from the family couch in the living room. Shikamaru, by the living room entrance, overheard this conversation and had a brilliant idea to uplift his depressed cousin's spirits. He promptly headed towards the blonde's room. Upon entering, he saw Iruka, still holding Naruto in his arms to comfort him. Shikamaru gestured to his cousin's guardian to leave them alone for a few minutes. The man understood, loosened his hold on his charge, and headed towards the door. Once alone, Shikamaru approached and sat on the edge of the blonde's bed. "Hey, Naruto, wake up, you lazy bum," Shikamaru called softly. Hearing his cousin's voice, Naruto rubbed his eyes to open them better. He sat up casually and faced the brunette. "Shikamaru, can you tell me what you want?" asked the blonde, still sounding sleepy. He stretched, starting with his arms and then his legs. Once fully awake, Naruto was ready to converse with the pineapple. Shikamaru let out a small chuckle before smiling normally and ready to share his brilliant idea with the blonde. After a few minutes of silence, he spoke up. "My dear beloved cousin, I have wonderful news to share with you," he said, placing his hands on his cousin's shoulders. What kind of wonderful news are you talking about?" Naruto asked, raising an eyebrow. "I don't see what you're referring to," he continued, now staring at his cousin's smiling face. "I must be dreaming, is he actually smiling?" Naruto thought to himself, still staring at Shikamaru. Shikamaru seized the opportunity to discuss his plan to ease the blonde's heartache. "Well, tonight we're going to the Uchiha party," he blurted out, jumping to his feet. "What? A party at the Uchihas? Are you kidding me, Shika?" The blonde blurted out, his voice louder this time. "Listen, Naruto, first of all, calm down," the brunette began. "Calm down? Are you kidding me, cousin? And besides," he continued, his expression angry, "why would I go to the party of my father's worst enemy? Am I supposed to just stroll in and say, 'Hey, what's up? I'm Naruto and I'm from the Uzumaki clan?' Seriously?" Shikamaru didn't expect his idiot cousin to react this way. He took a deep breath. Once calm, he explained. "The reason for the party. Naruto, if I tell you we're going to this party, it's so you can forget about Hinata for good. That way, you can meet other lovely girls." "But how do you expect me to forget Hinata? I will never, and I mean never, love another woman besides her," Naruto replied, grabbing the brunette's collar. "Naruto, if you keep thinking about this girl, I'm certain you'll only get more depressed. And honestly, getting over heartbreak is a pain in the neck," he added afterward. Fine, you win. I'll go to your stupid party. But don't expect me to fight an Uchiha." Naruto spat, letting go of the brunette's sweater collar. "Finally, at last," Shikamaru exclaimed. "That's precisely the response I desired. I finally reunite with my beloved cousin," he continued, embracing his said cousin warmly. Back in the Uchiha neighborhood, fireworks lit up the starry sky. Villagers gathered at the Uchiha house where guards stood watch at the gates. Meanwhile, in Sasuke's room, Kakashi was styling the young boy's black hair. The teenager wore a sad expression, his hands trembling on his knees, his eyes welling up with tears each time his guardian ran the comb through his hair. Once his hair was styled, Kakashi placed a crown of white flowers on the teenager's head. "Look at yourself, Sasuke. You look magnificent," his guardian said, wrapping an arm around the young brunette. Sasuke looked at his reflection, resting his head on his arms as he gazed into the mirror and began to cry. Kakashi hated seeing his ward in such a state. He understood his distress, he too found this forced marriage decision unfair. The silver-haired man walked over to the teenager's wardrobe and pulled out a beautiful red and white kimono. The top part of the kimono was red with Japanese cherry blossom prints, while the bottom was white. In the center of the kimono, there was a thin white belt with golden motifs. Kakashi returned to his young ward, who lifted his head when his guardian called his name. His beautiful black eyes still filled with tears, his cheeks flushed from the salty liquid that had streamed from his eyes. Kakashi presented him with the kimono chosen by his mother. Before putting it on him, he cupped the teenager's face in his hands and spoke to him. "Sasuke, it'll be all right, my dear. Now, dry those tears, you know it's not good for you to cry." "How do you expect me to stop crying when my parents want me to marry a woman I detest?" the teenager replied, his voice choked with sobs. "Sasuke," the silver-haired man continued, gently stroking his black hair this time. "I know you're not thrilled about it, and neither am I, to be honest. I'm not pleased with your parents' decision regarding this marriage. But don't worry, I'll make sure to stay with you during the evening, I'll keep you away from Miss Haruno. All right?" "Thank you, Kakashi, I don't know what I would do without someone as understanding as you." "Really, thank you." The teenager expressed gratitude as he jumped into his mentor's arms, sniffing for a moment before rubbing his eyes. "Come on, it's nice to have a bonding moment, but don't forget I still need to prepare you for your engagement ball." "Now, stay put," Kakashi instructed. Meanwhile, outside the neighborhood, Naruto and his close ones arrived at the Uchiha soiree. His best friend Kiba, a man with brown hair and cheeks adorned with red triangle tattoos, was dressed as a samurai. His cousin Shikamaru was dressed as a knight. His cousin Ino opted for a mermaid costume, her blue eyes covered with a light green eyeshadow, and her lips tinted with pale pink gloss. His second cousin Karen dressed up as a vampire, wearing a black dress of moderate length with flat shoes matching the color of her dress. Her usually red eyes, covered by her red glasses, were exposed and adorned with crimson eyeshadow and thick mascara. As for Naruto, he simply wore a black kimono top with orange swirl patterns, dark blue jeans with a silver belt around his waist, and a white t-shirt underneath the kimono. His usually unruly hair was tied back with a black forehead band featuring the symbol of the Konoha village, and a lovely crystal pendant hung around his neck. Unlike his cousins, and best friend, Naruto chose to remain himself instead of dressing up. Kiba placed his hands on his hips and confronted his childhood best friend. "Honestly, Naruto, are you serious about not dressing up or what?" His friend scolded him, furrowing his brows. "Sorry Kiba, but I don't feel like dressing up tonight." "Oh really? And why not?" "Because I don't want to make a fool of myself in front of everyone, especially the Uchihas," replied the blonde. "Oh, what a scaredy cat our dear Naru-chan is," teased Ino gently, squeezing her cousin around the neck. "Ino, you're choking me," said Naruto. "Well, it's not all, but we have to hurry to go to the Uchihas," replied the pineapple. "Before that, here Naruto," Shikamaru said to him. The brunette handed him a fox-shaped Onbu mask. The blonde took the mask and put it on his face to hide his identity. The Uzumakas managed to deceive the guards and entered the district without any problems. Inside, the music was loud, guests were dancing joyfully, some were drinking sake at the bar, others were chatting about everything and nothing during the party. Naruto spotted the leader of the Uchiha clan. He was talking to a young lady all in pink hair styled in a small bun, Chinese pink dress, pink shoes, pink fan. Naruto couldn't deny it, she was pretty indeed. But she was everything but the type of woman the blonde would want to date. Ino was dancing with Kiba on the dance floor, Karen was getting on stage to sing, Shikamaru was drinking a glass of sake with several men. But the blonde soon regretted coming to this party, because yes, he recognized Hinata, the girl he was madly in love with. She was on the dance floor dancing with her cousin, Neji, and her little sister, Hanabi. Naruto found her more beautiful than ever in her purple ball gown. Such magnificence, he couldn't help but think. He then removed his fox mask for a brief moment. Disguised as a mercenary, Itachi recognized Naruto Uzumaki, thanks to the resemblance to Minato. Angered, Itachi couldn't bear the presence of an Uzumaki in their home. Furious, he went to his father, who was with Sakura Haruno, his younger brother's fiancée. He cleared his throat to signal his presence. "Excuse me for interrupting your conversation, father, may I speak with you for a minute?" the raven asked. "Of course, my son," his father replied. "Please excuse us, miss. If you'd like, you can go talk with my wife, get to know each other," he said to the young lady. "Of course, go ahead with your eldest son," Sakura said with a huge smile. "Though I wonder where Sasuke has gone," she thought. Since the beginning of the evening, she hadn't seen her future husband once. Fugaku, on the other hand, went to the kitchen with his eldest son. He saw Kurenai doing dishes. He asked her to step out for a moment, she nodded, bowed, and left. Alone in the kitchen, the father broke the silence. "What did you want to talk to me about, my son?" he asked, crossing his arms. "Well, father, earlier at the party, I saw something unpleasant on our territory." "What do you mean by unpleasant? Tell me, my son." Itachi tried to restrain his anger and murderous desires, responding to his father with a calm voice. "I saw one of the people from the Uzumaki household at our party." "What? How come an Uzumaki?" Fugaku asked, raising his voice. "Which Uzumaki is it? I want to know." "It's Naruto, Minato's only son, father." "Naruto? Oh, him, it's fine," the clan leader replied with a calmer voice. "But father," Itachi shouted. "He's an Uzumaki, he deserves a lesson for coming to a party he wasn't even invited to." "Come on, Itachi, calm down. This young boy is kind, and besides, he's never been involved in any fight against our clan." But father, still. Enough. Now, go back to enjoying the party. But leave that young boy alone. Understood? Very well, father. Itachi reluctantly replied. His father had the final say and left the kitchen, leaving him alone. Itachi then vowed to get revenge on Naruto. Why? For daring to get in his way. Naruto went outside to get some fresh air, he couldn't stand being indoors any longer. His loved ones were having fun like children, while he didn't feel festive at all. He kept thinking about sweet Hinata, he couldn't forget her. For him, it was downright impossible. Ugh, if only I hadn't listened to Shikamaru. I would have preferred to stay home and sleep peacefully, he muttered to himself. And I'm thirsty too. The blonde headed towards the pond in the garden, kneeling down beside the river. He dipped his palms into the cool water before bringing them up to his face. His lips parted as he drank the refreshing water. After finishing, he stood up and walked around the vast garden. Naruto thought the Uchiha garden was beautiful with its variety of flowers, plants, and the river. The air was crisp, the sky was starry, everything was so peaceful. The blonde felt better, he enjoyed this moment of tranquility where no one would disturb him. Suddenly, he heard a strange noise coming from the bushes. Curious, the blonde approached the source of the sound to investigate. He crouched down in front of the large bush of red roses, observing it with his blue eyes until he saw a black eye. Shocked, the blonde screamed and fell on his backside. The person hidden behind the bush stood up. Damn it! That hurt. The blonde groaned, rubbing his back. Hey, could you, he continued before pausing, looking up at the stranger. The young man before him was stunning. Naruto found him charming in his red and white kimono, especially with his crown of flowers on his head. His blue eyes met the black orbs of the teenager. Sasuke was captivated by the blonde's beauty. The brunette emerged from his hiding spot to approach the young man on the ground, his gaze feverish as he offered his hand to help him up. Once the deed was done, the two boys continued to gaze at each other. Naruto flashed a wide smile, scratching his neck. Faced with this smile, Sasuke blushed and looked away, his left arm wrapping around his right elbow, his feet inside the kimono clashing together. Smiling, Naruto had to admit that the brunette was absolutely endearing with his little quirks, especially with his childish pout. Are you okay? Naruto asked, breaking the silence after finishing his contemplation. Sasuke raised his chin, still with flushed cheeks, his heart beating at an incredible speed, feeling like his vital organ was about to leap out of his chest. Despite his trembling voice, he decided to respond to the blonde. Yes. I'm fine. Sorry. Sorry for scaring you earlier. Naruto was touched by the soft voice of the young brunette, his right hand migrated into the black strands that made up Sasuke's hair. You look stunning in your outfit, you resemble an angel. Especially with that flower crown, it suits you so well. Thank you. That's very kind, Sasuke replied, keeping his feverish gaze. Naruto's heart was racing, all he wanted right now was to kiss the young brunette. He was dying to touch the adolescent's pink lips with his own. He found him to be the most beautiful man in the world, even more beautiful than Hinata. Never have I seen such beauty before, your face is so lovely, your hair so soft, your lips so beautiful. You're so adorable, my heart beats for you, and my lips long to touch yours in a kiss. Let me kiss you, he said, gently moving his face closer to the brunette's. But the young adolescent moved his face away before their lips could meet. Sasuke chuckled at the blonde's reaction and spoke in turn. Yes. I'm fine. Sorry. Sorry for scaring you earlier. Naruto, softened by the gentle voice of the small brunette, moved his right hand into the soft black threads that constituted Sasuke's black hair. You look magnificent in your costume, you resemble an angel. Especially with your flower crown, it suits you so well. Thank you. That's very kind, Sasuke replied, keeping his feverish gaze. Naruto's heart leapt within him, craving but one desire, to kiss the youthful brunette. He deemed him the epitome of magnificence, surpassing even Hinata in handsomeness. Rarely have I beheld such exquisite beauty. Your countenance exudes grace, your locks cascade like silk, your lips possess a captivating allure. You are utterly endearing, igniting a fervent rhythm within my heart. However, the young adolescent moved away from his face before his lips had the chance to kiss it. Sasuke chuckled at the blonde's reaction and spoke in turn. Come now, my dear, don't rush too much. You don't even know me. I truly appreciate your compliments. You know, my heart also beats for you. Your eyes are a sparkling blue, those scars on your cheeks make you charming, and your hair is so beautiful and soft to the touch. If your heart beats for me, then let me kiss you so I can feel your lips on mine, the blonde said, approaching him again. He ended up placing his lips on those of the brunette, initially gentle, then pressing slightly. Sasuke felt like his heart was about to burst. He couldn't describe this kiss: sweet, tender, warm. The blonde broke the kiss still with a pounding heart. Before stepping back, Sasuke wrapped his wrist with his small hand, pulling the blonde closer again for another kiss. Yes, the brunette still desired to feel the lips of the blonde. This time, the kiss became hotter, more intense, and more wonderful than the first. Their lips moved together. Sasuke placed a hand on the right cheek of the blonde while Naruto wrapped his arms around the waist of the little brunette. Ahem, a voice coughed. The two boys separated upon seeing Kakashi. Excuse me for interrupting. Sasuke, your mother asked me to find you, she wants to see you. See me? Repeated Sasuke. The silver-haired man took his protégé's wrist and led him into the mansion. Naruto pursued his brunette, not wanting to see him leave. Once inside, Naruto saw his beloved upstairs with the silver-haired man. But something shocked him. He recognized Mikoto, the wife of his father's archenemy. He saw the young lady from earlier next to the mistress of the house. Sakura kissed Sasuke's cheek while he continued to stare at Naruto. Suddenly, Naruto discovered the identity of his love with horror. Is that an Uchiwa? Sasuke, not understanding the blue-eyed gaze, turned his attention back to his mentor, asking him about the identity of the man he had just kissed. Kakashi, unaware of the young man's identity, asked Itachi. Horrified, Kakashi turned back to his protégé, replying. I asked Itachi, he says his name is Naruto. He's an Uzumaki, the only son of your father's greatest enemy. Oh no, Sasuke finally said. He put his hand to his forehead and began to panic. I've made the biggest mistake of my life. First, I'm engaged to a woman I don't love, and then I fall in love with my worst enemy. My love was born from my greatest hatred. Naruto felt exactly the same way as Sasuke. He realized he had fallen in love with his lifelong worst enemy. Naruto and Sasuke were repulsed by their family names, but they realized something incredible: they had fallen in love with each other. Their feelings were mutual. From the moment they first saw each other, their hearts beat as one, and their eyes never parted. Thus, our two lovers were born into families that had hated each other for so many years. Folks, I hope you found this content intriguing. I welcome your thoughts and feedback in the comments section below. Additionally, I invite you to subscribe to my channel.